Right, and welcome to the Black and Gold Report. We are joined here by the voice of the Oklahoma Sooners, Carter Baum. And first of all, Carter, I just guess I'll get your thoughts on the first half for the Sooners this year.
Sooners had a good first half. They started out strong with their first couple games. They reached a little low point in the middle of the first semester. Lost a couple games, being highlighted by a 3-loss weekend, 1 game against Arizona, 2 games against Arizona State there in Oklahoma. It was kind of the low point of the first half. But they've turned it around since then. They won 4 games to end out the semester, 2 games on the road against Illinois, a game on the road and a game at home against Central Oklahoma, and then they just got back from the Great Northwest Showcase up in Vancouver. They played a game against Simon Fraser. They lost 4-0. A little bit of a slow game. I think I didn't get to watch it, but from what I can tell, it was kind of a get your legs back under you first game after a Christmas break, and they came out the next night. They played University of British Columbia, took them in a 3-3 game to overtime, and lost in overtime. But I really think they've turned it around since those 3 games against Arizona, Arizona State. Like I mentioned, kind of the low point of the semester, but they've done a lot better since then. I think everything's finally starting to click for the team.
And then when talking about the low point, what would you say was the biggest issue that you guys had during those games?
With Arizona, it was a trend Oklahoma's kind of had throughout the first part of the season was, they'd come out strong in the first period, they'd get a lead going, and then they'd kind of back off in the second, third period. That was a classic case against Arizona. They got a 1-goal lead. They got a little comfortable with it. Arizona scored 2 goals within about a minute of play in the third period. The Sooners were never really able to rebound from that. And then Arizona State, Arizona State's a great team, number 1 team in the country. The only loss they've had all year was at the Great Northwest Showcase. And the 1 game against Division I Penn State, those are 2 games that, it's not bad games to lose. They're a great team. And Oklahoma was simply outmatched, and not a lot of team effort, a lot of individual play there. And since then, I think they've turned it around. They've really come together as a team and started playing very well.
And then, we played out at Arizona State this year as well, and it was a very shorthanded, injured Oakland Grizzly team that took the Sun Devils to a shootout, so that was pretty interesting to see, especially how injured the team's been. That's kind of been the first semester here at Oakland, just a lot of injuries, losing multiple top forwards. Both goalies at one point were out, and top defenseman was out, top 2 defensemen were out, so it was certainly an injury-filled first half for the Grizzlies, so I would say that was their biggest adversity. But one thing, too, when looking at your team is that I noticed that I'm impressed by Greenberg, and I know that Bolton as well over there, and we are all familiar with Bolton from his time last season with Adrian. Just tell us a little bit about what you know about those guys.
Greenberg's a great player. Coming in, he played in the NAHL last year with the Texas Tornado, won the Robertson Cup. He's a very fast player. He's got good hands. He's got 11 goals on the season, 16 assists. He has 6 shorthanded goals on the year, 2 game-winning goals. I can't say enough good things about the kid. He's come in and he's really taken over the leading scorer role. He's always a threat on the ice, shorthanded power play, even strength. He's always someone you got to look out for because he'll burn you in any situation. Bolden, right. Another thing, he's another good player coming in. A real strong suit for the Sooners this year has been some of the new players coming in. Mark Jackson's another one who's played very well. But Daryl Bolden, like you said, you saw him a lot with Adrian last year. He's a good player. He's got some speed with him. He knows when to shoot the puck. He's a very smart player. He knows what to do on the ice, and he sees the puck very well.
Yeah, and between those 4, Greenberg, Bolton, Jackson, and obviously Chad Hudson as well, it's 12 or 13 power play goals with those 4 guys right there. You can just talk about how deadly they are with the extra man as well.
Yeah, power play is really something that has turned around towards the second half of the semester. It's something that was a bit of a low point weren't really able to connect on a whole lot on the power play, but they really turned it around. A lot of puck movement. They try and work the umbrella centered up top. They usually put a fourth forward out there with one defenseman on the power play, at least for the first half. Try and get the puck moving around, and they've done a good job. They've really turned it around, got some goals on the power play. Something that was lacking in the first part of the season.
And then for you guys, who would you say is kind of a really one of those players that might not have a ton of goals or a ton of points or anything like that, but really stands out for you guys in the first half?
I would have to say, Kevin Zender, he's a solid defenseman. I would say he's one of our top defenders coming back this year. Always a good player. Elliot Palanchuk he's a walk-on coming off this year. He's done very well. He's only played in 11 games, but he's been really surprising. Had a real opportune goal up at the Great Northwest Showcase against UBC. Came out of the box, scored on a breakaway with a defender basically tackling him from behind. He's been someone who's really surprised me this year. Another one, Corey Ramsey, he got a late start to the year, had some injury problems coming into the season, but he's another defender that's come on and really showed that he can play with the best of the teams out there.
And your two goalies that you seem to roll with the most, obviously, Fernandez and Holmes. Can you just tell us a little bit about those two? Because I know that when you look at what Fernandez, what is he, 11-6 here, goals against of about .238 here, and a nice save percentage of 92. Solid numbers for him. Certainly, I watched one of those games out in BC, and looked like he plays the way his numbers reflect for sure.
Yeah, the second game up in Vancouver, I was able to watch against UBC. Fernandez was absolutely standing on his head. I can't say enough good things about the kid. Real solid player. He's kind of a quiet guy, but he's a good voice in the locker room. He's a fantastic goaltender. Nick Holmes, he's a good goaltender as well. The Sooners are real lucky there. Two very good goaltenders, 1 and 2. Nick's had some very good games. He's had a couple rough games, but he's got a 3-4 record. His stats are really they don't really showcase the kind of goalie he is. He's a very good goalie when he does get the chances to start, but Colin Fernandez is definitely the number one goalie for Oklahoma.
And then with the 3-3 here, 2 on Adrian, and then 1 over here in Oakland, what are you kind of thinking that the goaltending rotation might be in terms of who's going to get what nod?
It'll definitely be interesting. I think Fernandez will get probably 2 of the starts. Nick Holmes will get 1 of them for sure. I'm not sure whether I'll alternate him, put Nick Holmes in for 1 of the games against Adrian, or put Holmes in for the game against Oakland. But I wouldn't expect Fernandez to start all 3 games. That's rough for a goalie playing 3 games in 3 days. But I would definitely expect different goalies to be seen throughout the weekend.
Yeah, but the other thing too is for Fernandez there is that it could be a good national tournament type test as well, because you have to go multiple days, and you never know if that's something that they might want to test him out on. But it's going to be important for I think for you guys to come away from the weekend with a 2-1 record coming out of that. Would you agree with that in terms of a minimum of what you're looking to do?
Adrian's a good team. They're number 3 right now. They've shown that they can compete with some of the better teams. They put Arizona State. They played a good game against Arizona State, I believe. They're a good team. I think the Sooners definitely need to come away with at least 1 win out of that weekend. Show that their season's kind of on the right track. It's a real rough road stretch right now. 4 straight weekends on the road for Oklahoma, starting last weekend up in Vancouver. But I definitely think it'll be a good test. 3 games in 3 days. School hasn't started yet, so the guys have a little bit of more of a break than they would during an actual semester. They don't have the schoolwork to worry about, but it is going to be a tough test this weekend. with, like you said, the 3 games in the 3 days.
And then how much of the travel to BC and having to play there and then coming over here to play in Michigan, do you think by the end of that trip, do you think that there is any concern on your part of maybe some fatigue there, or are they pretty much well conditioned to the point where you know that's not going to be a factor?
I think they're pretty well conditioned. They had a good week and a half off between the end of the semester and Christmas. They came back. They got a practice in before they went up to Vancouver. I think in that first game, both with Oklahoma and Arizona State, both teams. I mean, Arizona State I think lost 8-2 against UBC. I think it kind of showed that both teams were a little rusty coming off the holiday break, but both teams turned it around in the second day. I don't think fatigue will be as much of a factor this weekend as it will be in next weekend. They travel out to Alabama Huntsville for 2 games, NCAA D1 team. And then after that, they travel out to Arizona to play 2 games against Arizona and a game against Arizona State. Another 3 games in 3 days type scenario. I think by the time they reach Arizona, fatigue might be a little bit of a factor. But right now, with no school, they have kind of a little bit of time. They practice, I think, in the morning, and they have most of the day to kind of hang out and not really worry about too much. I think the fatigue shouldn't be too much of a factor right now.
When you see a 500 Oakland team, obviously not what a lot of people would have expected going into the season, does that, as a guy over on the Oklahoma side, does that scare you a little bit, or make you think that, yeah, I mean, that's the one game we can think that would be, I don't want to say the easier of the 3 this weekend, but I guess you kind of get my drift a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely a game to watch out for, especially coming off 2 games against Adrian in the 2 days prior. I think Oakland might catch a little bit of a worn out Oklahoma team. Just playing 3 games in 3 days, it's not easy. I think Oklahoma has to watch out a little bit, not get carried away with, okay, now we're past Adrian, and we just have Oakland, now we'll be fine. I think they definitely do have to watch out because, I mean, Oakland showed last year at the national tournament that they're a sleeper team. They came in, they played the play-in game, and made it all the way to the finals. They're not a team to be messed around with. Definitely something to keep an eye out for. But I think it's a little bit of cautious optimism for me with that 3rd game in 3 days. It's something definitely to watch out for.
One thing too, fair or not, that has gone around since I've been in the league has been that the Sooners are a team that takes a lot of penalties and takes penalties at times that might not be the best. Is that even any more close to the truth of the matter here, or are things pretty much different? Because I know that in my time here, there's been a couple different coaches there.
Yeah, I think in years past there definitely has been some discipline issues with the penalties, a lot of penalties, but last year and this year I think it's slowed down a lot. There are a few penalties that I don't believe that are necessary, a little extra that I'm not too happy with, but I really think they've gotten it under control since seasons prior. It's not as big of an issue. New coaching staff coming in, they've really shown that they take this a lot more seriously than maybe some of the other coaches have. They're a very disciplined team, and I really don't think the penalty issue is as big of a problem as it has been in prior years with other coaches.
And then 2 more quick things here for you, and one of those things is that, what would you say so far has been the best part of your Sooner season so far here, or the part that kind of shocked you a little bit that you didn't expect?
I wouldn't say it shocked me, but definitely the game last weekend against UBC. I didn't get to watch the game on Friday night against Simon Fraser, but the Sooners lost 4-0, and for them to turn around the next night against a UBC team that I think might be a little better than Simon Fraser, to come around, I was able to watch that game. They played a really solid game. compete with really a top Canadian university team, and that was something that was really surprising for me to see, that they could turn around and play a fantastic game like that. They lost in overtime. It was a heartbreaking loss. Like I said earlier, Colin Fernandez played on top of his head. Really one of the best games I've ever seen him play. But it was definitely, I think that was one of the high points of the season so far, is being able to turn around off of a tough loss off of that and compete with a really good team. And it was a back and forth game, and they never really got caught up with when UBC scored. They turned right around and retaliated right away.
And then final thing here, Oakland won 4-2 against the Sooners. Lifetime. Knowing that, what's your prediction for? Let's go with the Adrian games and the Oakland games. What are you feeling?
With the Adrian games, I think the Sooners will probably pull a split with Adrian. Tough road games. I haven't seen Adrian play this year. I'd be completely guessing if I were to go to scores with the Adrian games, but I think it'll be two close games. Adrian will probably win one. I think Oklahoma will pull out one there. When it comes to Oakland, I think it'll either be a 3-2 or a 3-1 game. That sounds about right for me. Oklahoma will. It'll be a close game for sure. If it goes 3-1, I think it might be an empty net goal or something like that. But I do think Oklahoma will probably be able to pull it out against Oakland here.
All right, Carter. Thank you for joining us here on the Black and Gold Report, and certainly a big weekend here for your Sooners, and hopefully we'll all catch up at a national tournament this year.
Definitely. Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you, bud. Thanks.